Welcome to Cult Favorite, the podcast that never lets you win at backgammon. I'm Miranda Simmons.
And I'm Mike Altman. Do you play backgammon?
No, but I do feel strongly about not letting people win.
At anything?
I think it's disrespectful.
To let somebody win?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I take you seriously, and so I'm going to show up with my full capacities. However, I am a middle child who shrinks at competition in general, and so typically I just avoid the whole scene.
I love backgammon. That's a favorite. Yeah.
It seems very classy to me.
I'm not very good.
Casual classy. You know what I mean?
Casual classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what backgammon seems like to me.
Yeah, I like
if chess is legit classy, backgammon is classy with a beer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm a huge fan of
having never really played it before.
Taking a backgammon set to. We have a really nice backgammon set. We'll take it out to a bar, have a drink, play a little backgammon.
Sure.
Why not?
It's a way to spend a Thursday.
Yes.
Tell them who we are, Mike.
I'm Mike Altman. I think I said that already.
Yeah, you said that.
Two religious studies professors trying to understand all of these cult documentaries you can't stop binge watching. And if you want to support the show, help more people find us on Instagram and TikTok, Cult Favorite Pod. And be sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a rating and a review, listen to other episodes. We're heading closer and closer to travel season of the holidays. So download a bunch of episodes for your car trip.
At what point do we start how on a CV after however many years that you've spent in the profession, you start doing conference presentations, selected conference.
Yeah.
I wonder if at what point the number of episodes do we start saying I think we should probably just archive this one.
Delete it, hide it. Then we can have the hidden episodes.
It is fun to go on the journey though and see.
Well, that's actually
how things have improved.
That's actually because this is our first time talking about the same group twice.
Is it? I was trying to figure that out.
No, we have not repeated.
Okay. Well,
it's funny because you were talking about that. At one point we had I had stuff labeled season 1, and then I was I don't know when I would break it into season 2. So it's just
I have ideas about these things, as you know, because I do like a theme. However, since we are we'll do a repeat of the group and a first-time disclaimer if it does not go without saying, although we hope it does, but the views expressed on this episode are our own as experts and researchers in a scholarly field, but not those representing formally the University of Alabama. So all opinions and content herein belong to you and me.
Yes.
So
those are all my bad.
Handle it responsibly, Mike.
All my bad opinions and views.
What are we talking about?
So we're talking about My Scientology Movie from 2015.
Louis Theroux.
It was
Theroux.
Theroux?
Do you know who his cousin is?
No. Do you know who his cousin is? His name is Todd.
On.
He's a nice guy.
No. Justin. I knew it was kind of
Justin Theroux. Who's that? Justin.
Yeah, he was on The Leftovers. Okay. And he's an actor in a bunch of stuff.
I don't know. See, I don't know actors.
He dated Jennifer Aniston. Maybe they were married? I don't know. I forget.
I'm always
I'm not very good about
that guy from the show?
That one.
That guy.
Anyway, they're cuz. And
so this was 2015. It's currently on it's on HBO Max. I found it deep. We were trying to figure out what to do. And I just was digging deep into the back catalog of HBO Max and found this there.
Okay.
It was a BBC production.
Yes. He's a BBC reporter.
Yeah, I was reading his Wikipedia page. He's got quite the interesting guy.
Snarky documentaries are kind of his jam.
Yeah, no, he's it was giving Michael Moore vibes.
He worked for Michael Moore.
Yes, that's what I realized.
Oh, you know that.
I saw that. No, I didn't. I was giving that, and then I went on his Wikipedia. And I was
TV Nation, Michael Moore's, it was an early 90s show. It predated The Daily Show by a couple of years, but it was in that kind of...
Okay.
Yeah, this is also when cable news was becoming a thing in the early days of cable news. It was also when these spoof news shows were happening. So
yeah,
it's kind of his shtick.
So yeah, so
I think Louis Theroux also has the dubious distinction of having a bust made once in the Great British Baking Show. Great British Bake Off.
someone made him in the
Yeah.
show. I probably saw that episode.
Because he's a British journalism institution.
Okay.
Not in the way that like heavy hitting, like this is the person who
Right.
like brings down Prince Andrew, but like but he does have he's very well known.
Yeah. And that kind of Bill Maher, kind of Michael Moore, whatever world. I'm just naming. I don't. He's much more likable than everybody else I'm comparing him to in the United States.
I don't sigh as heavily when I hear his name as I do.
No, I think that's true. I think there's something a little bit. There's something different about it.
But he made a Scientology movie.
His Scientology movie.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
What did you know about this before?
I mean, I knew about him. I am not a connoisseur or aficionado of his opus or his work, like his corpus of his body of work. But I know who he is. He's got a shtick.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was at all.
Okay.
I literally just stumbled upon this, watched the trailer, and was like, that's different. So, and then sent you a text about it. So
Yeah.
I came in. I mean, I know
I think my first response was, and then I came back around.
I know. Well,
it's okay.
We'll see if you actually came back. If you want to go back to episode 12 from October 6th, 2024, that was when we talked about Going Clear.
Okay.
I think the more famous documentary about Scientology from
Would we
Alex
call this
Gibney.
a documentary? I liked the title. I thought My Scientology Movie was an apt description of what this was.
Sure. I mean,
you do?
I'm not here to gatekeep the genre one way or the other.
Sure.
So,
all right. Well, why don't you tell us
something.
what it was? What?
So yeah. So the movie, the Scientology movie, it's really like we've already mentioned. It's in that vein. It was very supersized me. Like it took me back to. It came out in 2015, but it felt way more 2008.
Okay.
In the way it was made. Like, I mean, there was that era of these like, well, no, it was the era of those like particular kind of documentaries that were floating around in the 2000s. You know, obviously Michael Moore and Fahrenheit 9/11, all that stuff. But like, it felt like a throwback in that way that I enjoyed.
Somebody on their own journey.
Yeah.
That's using a piece of data as a kind of proxy for their own.
Right. And it's about like, I'm going to go explore this subculture, or I'm going to go explore this thing and follow along with me. And I'm going to have some sort of kind of like inside a Sherpa or somebody who helps me along the way. And hilarity will ensue. So it doesn't really have like a narrative, which is, I think, interesting.
But there are shenanigans.
There are shenanigans. It's really a kind of series of set pieces built around Theroux's relationship with former Scientologist higher up Marty Rathbun, and
we do hear from him in Going Clear. He
he's
was one of the big
Going Clear. Yes.
Okay.
And he was doing. I think he did this one before he did Going Clear, but Going Clear came out while they were making. I was trying to figure out the calendar of this because I think this actually may not have come out to 2017. It was unclear to me. And he talks of, there's an interview where Theroux talks about like Going Clear kind of scooping him a little bit and then having to redo what he
because
what he wanted
Going
to do.
Clear is also 2015. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
And so I think this took a lot longer to make than Going Clear did, and so there was like
interesting.
That's my theory because he thought of the idea in 2011, according to something I read on Wikipedia. I think. So what gets covered is it's a lot of Marty Rathbun. It's a lot. It almost has a kind of buddy comedy aspect to it as they drive around Los Angeles together. And it's really if there's any kind of organizing idea, it's that Theroux decides to reenact some of the scenes of David Miscavige, the the I don't know his official title, president, the head, the leader.
But he's a lead. Yeah,
the main
Miscavige
dude,
is the leader of Scientology, of the Church of Scientology.
To reenact some of the alleged abusive moments that happened in this place called the Hole, that is supposed to be in the Scientology headquarters in California.
But then also hires an actor to kind of inexplicably play Tom Cruise to reenact his interview with like
the process of casting these actors is to get them to perform existing like a speech from Miscavige.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's famous Scientology or no, Tom Cruise on Tom Cruise, which the fact that that's a real thing is amazing to me. That's what it was titled. Which is the famous video that you see in a lot of places, but isn't Going Clear of Cruise and the black turtleneck Tom Cruise. This very intense look on his face.
Sure.
And so it's about this kind of project, and I think it's about Theroux, whose whole shtick, as you're saying, is like kind of going around and investigating these different kind of pockets of culture and society places.
And those pockets those pockets tend to be in his body of work, like subcultures and groups of people who are kind of on the margins in some way. Yeah. So I think that he actually has an episode of one of his series with a like a WWE wrestler, for example.
Yeah.
Or WWF, I don't know. But a wrestler, white nationalists.
I was looking through, there's one where he like tries to hang out with the KKK as they're rebranding as a white civil rights organization.
There are those kinds of things where the group itself or the person themselves is sort of their own kind of societal provocateur in some way.
Yes.
And so here's this just journalist about town going into, this space that is very much like away from his own, the place that he occupies societally.
And one thing about the format of the film, movie, whatever, he got the idea, apparently, so from the documentary The Act of Killing, a 2012 documentary by Joshua Oppenheimer about mass killings in Indonesia.
Yes.
Where they had people...
Have you seen that? It's
incredible.
It's incredible.
So they apparently...
High recommend.
Okay, apparently they have people they do reenactments with the people involved to... sort of get their memories and reactions and all that.
Yes.
So that was where he got the idea to do the reenactment with Miscavige and Tom Cruise.
I did not know that. That's interesting. And it makes me actually like roll my eyes a little bit even further. So we'll talk.
Well, yeah. When I read that, I was like, wait, I'm going to take this idea from this thing.
And use it to talk I don't know that you can map that neatly onto. But anyway, keep going.
So there's a Guardian interview with him about it that came out around the time the film came out. So that's the kind of overall, and we'll talk more about the details. But so what doesn't get covered in this thing is like a lot of the history of Scientology, how L. Ron Hubbard came to be. Like it's very like all of that is gone. Go watch Going Clear for that. They do a good job with that. And I think in some ways he has talked about, I saw where when Going Clear was doing all of that, he was like, well, then we've got to kind of zag. Like we don't have, he kind of looked at this film as not having to do a lot of that because Going Clear did.
Okay. So far, I still don't know if I'm listening to this conversation, and I have not watched the documentary, but I still think it's useful because having watched it, I'm still like, what is it about though? Okay. Like what do you think is his purpose in making the movie, and or what is exactly the narrative arc beyond just a kind of confrontation with a group he doesn't belong to?
I think what it is for someone with his kind of approach to making stuff, the idea of how do I do a show or a film about a group that won't let me in, what do I do? And the kind of challenge of that, and an attempt to then kind of do what he kind of says. He talks about negative access. So instead of me being able to go in there and do anything like in Scientology, I can't go interview anybody, you don't want to talk to me. I'll provoke them to come at me and see what happens.
But the rationale for why he finds them a curious or interesting group in the first place, it's like the lack of access is reason for the desire for access, which I find
it's like,
just a total snooze.
It's like that building has a lot of barbed wire on it and no
let's
signage.
Go see what it's
no
about.
One knows what it's for. Let's break in and
which
see what's in there.
is cool if you are 14 and like skipping school. I don't really understand it as like a filmic enterprise, or at least there are probably 13,000 good reasons, but that just was not, that was something I found a little missing from the narrative.
But
arc.
if you watch the film as actually a film about Marty Rathbun, not to get ahead of myself, I think then it becomes more interesting. So
Maybe.
quick rundown of what happens.
Sorry.
No, this is good.
I'm always so excited to talk to you about like all of the things we have to say that I kind of skip ahead.
Yeah. So it's just a series of kind of set pieces. And so you have, early on, we meet Marty Rathbun, this former Scientology muscle who left the church in 2004 or 5, somewhere around there. And they start with these sort of casting these actors to reenact David Miscavige. They also want to reenact Tom Cruise stuff. So there's a lot of these moments of interviewing the actors going through the scripts. They show us the original video, all of that.
Rathbun's there to say whether they're good or not.
Who's got it or not.
Right.
There's a part where they're like, a lot of it is like they're doing it from the script of the speech, and then they ask them to improv. And there's one part where they're like, Marty's getting them all to like grab through by the throat or like shove them up against the wall and like do these things to sort of reinterpret what allegedly Miscavige would do.
Yeah.
Along the way, we also get like Marty demonstrates an audit with an e-meter. So part of Scientology is this, one of the central sort of practices is this practice of auditing. So you're sitting with an auditor who's a trained Scientologist, and they have an e-meter, which is kind of like half of a lie detector. It just sends a small current through your body. And then it's an ohm-meter. And so he does that with Marty, like Marty and Rathbun and Louis.
Louis
do a kind of demo of that. They also they talk about the Sea Org, which is sort of the kind of, they call them the clergy, which was weird because that's not exactly what it is, but it's the inner circle, higher level of the Church of Scientology. And
always wearing Navy uniforms.
Yeah. They
Lots
love
of cosplay.
Love uniform. Hey, uniforms are fun. But they have these, and this was new to me, these drills that they do in which they're basically kind of taught how to remain calm while being yelled at in a variety of different ways. And a lot of kind of like manifesting stuff, sort of, and the idea of projecting thoughts into objects and people. So you see a lot of these drills, which is interesting, on a kind of, all of this happening on a kind of like soundstage space, like white soundstage space. Along the way, the church takes notice of the documentary. They're also driving around LA a lot and driving around various, around the headquarters of the church a bunch.
Yes.
Which has cameras and barbed wire, and it's clearly poking, they're showing up with cameras, and then they get letters from Scientology's lawyers about the documentary.
Several confrontations on a road whose status as public or private is debated.
Well, apparently by the end
it says it's a public road.
But they get the cops called on them outside. The Scientologists, and one of the things that Scientology has done, they say to defend themselves, others say to harass people who have left the church or are critical of the church, is to send people to just like film people. What they call these squirrel busters, as and squirrels being those people who are
like subversive.
And so that there's a rather I think it's supposed to be played for comedy scene where Louis is standing in front of the Scientologist with a camera who will not speak to him, and they're just filming each other. And
right.
He says, "Tell her to stop filming," and then she says, "You tell him to stop filming," and it's just back and forth.
Which also sounds like a narrative or like dialogue written by a 14-year-old, but it's. I wanted. I don't know. There were so many. We'll get there. So many interesting like meta layers of performance that I think are really interesting, but
so it's headed towards this big reenactment. They build a set. At one point they're talking about doing the reenactment like near the headquarters,
right?
But Marty doesn't like that idea, so they get a sound stage to do it in. They build a set that's supposed to look like this office building that all these people were stuck in, and they do the reenactment, and they, I guess, got it in one take. It seems like maybe I don't know. Marty seems like happy with how it went, and you feel like okay, this was what this was all building up to. But really, what it's building up to is after the reenactment, when two more Scientologists with a cameraman, this poor freelance cameraman who keeps every time they ask the cameraman, every time Louis asks him, "What are you doing here?" he just says, "I'm a freelance cameraman hired by these people."
You'll have to ask them,
even though he shows up with different sets of people every time. But they show up and they're just saying horrible things to Marty.
Sure.
They even talk about his adopted son. And so this really, really shakes Marty by the end. And after they leave, Louis, and this is where I feel like we get what the real point of this was.
Interesting.
That's why I say it's actually about Marty.
Okay.
Because then, and he had done this a little bit at different moments. Like at one point, he called him embittered, and Marty, Louis had called Marty Rathburn embittered. And he said, "Why would you say that? That's what they say about me, meaning the church." But Louis says like, "Hey, you did that to people. Like you're all upset and you're talking, but you did that to people, right? Like, cause Marty was the top enforcer for the church." And he's like, "I would never bring someone's kids into this." Well, and he's like, and he gets really pissed and cusses him out and storms off. And that's the last we see of Marty.
Sort of, except that then at the end, like it's just, they're back in the car again.
I think that's old footage.
It is old footage, but like as a narrative product, like that is not where Marty ends. And so it's it is unclear whether that is some kind of like, actual like breaking point that stops their sort of
he denounces
interview.
The film after it comes out.
Oh, really?
And he's like, he kind of washes his hands of it after it comes out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, he
That's
did not.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then it has this weird, you picked up on this, I think too, like weird closing moment where Theroux says like, you could choose to see this as good people that are members of a church hijacked by its own pope, meaning Miscavige, which is an interesting take.
It's one take.
It is a take.
It is a take.
But that's kind of, so like there isn't, that's why I feel like the real story is about the relationship between Marty and Louis more than anything else.
Sure. I was waiting for all of these actor stagings and auditions to lead to something. If you're going to have, like Waiting for Guffman style or whatever, where like a team of community players comes together to like, whatever, LARP the Church of Scientology. But we don't really get a thing that they put on. We just get little snippets.
Well, we get the final scene, the big scene where the guy they hired.
We get 15 seconds of him talking that then blurs into actually Miscavige and Tom Cruise doing
there's like
the
a
thing.
whole scene where he storms in and he makes the guy crawl on the ground and he throws the guy. He breaks the light tube.
That was still an audition, though.
No, that was the thing. That was the thing.
But you had Marty in there being like, yes, good or no. I mean, okay, so sure.
Marty wrote the script.
I didn't, but
that was the performance.
But like for what end? Is it getting sent to people? Is it being performed in a, like, there's not really a sense of
Yes, that was what was missing. They gave us the big final thing, which was that scene.
I see.
But what the goal of this, they
won't let me in, so I'm going to do my own play. Yeah. And I'm going to hire some people with what money? I mean, this had to be like well funded and stuff. Like, how did he?
Yeah.
But with, I don't know, man. It was very weird to me.
Well, I think there's okay.
Go.
What do you want to talk? I have thoughts.
Yeah,
I have thoughts.
Like,
I just don't want to.
Okay.
Because part of what he's doing.
Yes. Okay. So this is one of my questions: is whether this movie worked for you, and think of that as a question about genre or not, as you wish or don't. But like, so did it work as a documentary, or maybe did it just work in general for you? How did it land?
It could have worked for me it could have worked for me 15 or 20 years ago. Like, it felt very dated to me. Like, the genre, the tropes of it. Like, so if I had watched this in 2005 or 6, which was impossible because the things hadn't happened yet. But all of this kind of stuff, like, it would have been like, it would have been another documentary alongside like I already said, Super Size Me or Further, or all these documentaries that were coming out of that era that had this kind of a vibe. So it almost felt like I know it was 2015, but it felt way older than that.
But like, even the Super Size Me is an interesting comparison because I don't like that movie. I find it really problematic in lots of ways.
Yeah.
But it is ostensibly about like educating people about what it is that's going into their fast food, whatever. Again, a very problematic education and a very misguided and misleading one. But there are all of these, that's what the like stated intent is. We are not, Theroux's intent is not to educate us about Scientology.
No.
The reason that this would work, if it does work, is because there is already so much up and running that is presumed subtext about Scientology, what it is, who's involved, and how they work in these kinds of shady back rooms. Like, and I don't know what it's about then. Like, except to
if you make Bowling for Columbine, but it's not actually about gun violence. You know what I'm saying? Because it's it's that same style in so many ways. That's what's so recognizable about it.
And I thought that there were, there are lots of things that I can get behind regarding like the kind of meta format that features these different layers of performance. Like, if the thing that he finds interesting about Scientology is its emphasis on performance, which we talked about with Going Clear, and how that really stuck out for us as this kind of like, there's a lot of costuming and there's a lot of production value to the Church of Scientology. They really care about that.
Giant shows that look like the inside of a cheesecake factory.
It's no accident that they're in Hollywood. It's no accident that they cater to actors and so forth. Like, that can work really well.
Yeah.
There's a way in which these layers of performance could be the thing, but I sort of think that those layers of performance where he's talking as an interviewer with Marty Rathburn, who is directing the actors on whether or not they're getting Miscavige like accurate, who are reading scripts that were provided to them, which are put on by these people in the church who care a lot about production. Like, that's all really interesting to me, but I think that those layers reveal maybe more than he intends about what he's doing, or maybe it doesn't reveal what he does intend.
What do you think it reveals?
I think it reveals that there's no authentic core that you can get to about a group of people that you're trying to describe. And I think that it reveals the editorial filters always forever at work in our attempts to describe groups of people to which we do not belong. Even the ones we do belong to. Like, there are always these degrees of separation between narrative product and experiential reality.
Right.
Like, those two things are always going to be in tension with one another. It's always a productive tension, I think, because it keeps us, one hopes, from attempting to access some kind of authentic, like real core story, something. But that also doesn't really seem like what he's up to, because I wrote down at the very end, like what his punchline was. He says, in spite of everything, this is at the very end before he does, like, before we see, the old footage of him driving in the car with Marty, and the cops stop them to search, and they're kind of all laughing because they know that it's not, because it's all artifice. Like, the cops are stopping the car, but it's not really because they think, right. So
they're just stopping everybody.
His punchline is, in spite of everything I now know, which we're not sure about what even that is, because again, he's not, but it's fine. In spite of everything I now know, a little part of me still feels the pull of their vision. It may be tempting to look at the faces and see foolishness, but you could also choose to see good people who are members of a church that's been hijacked by its own pope. Okay. Like, I don't know. I mean, so on one hand, like, we've got the bad religion trope that it's religion is a stable, pure, like, the authentic, lovely thing that just goes awry by the mistreatments of, but like, literally his conclusion is, it would be easy to think that these people are foolish, but you could also see them as not. Yes, that is true. I just do not understand what
the point was.
It's because, like, but I'm kind of, my brain is sort of grappling with it a little bit, because in so many of the documentaries we watch, it seems very clear what their intent is.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I think often it's a very limited and reductive take on whatever it is that they're talking about. But or one at least that kind of fails to take a lot of structural factors into account.
Right.
With this one, I'm like, okay, so does the fact that I'm not sure what this is saying, like, is that something that should seem more compelling to me, since I don't like it when they, like, come out swinging with a hard-hitting claim either? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, your point about the title being good, I think it makes a lot of sense. Because,
and he's the person who's on the, like, that I think is all very, 100%. This is very much about Louis Theroux. This is not about the Church of Scientology.
It feels more like it's about his experience. Like, I'm going to go poke this thing and see what happens to me. And
100%.
That might show you what this place is really about.
And I think that would work for me if he just owned that and carried some self-reflexiveness throughout the course of the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was self mediating encounters. I'm putting myself inside of a situation and seeing what happens. But that's a little different from being self-reflexive about what it is about you in those spaces that does what for your,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it needed the director to be on camera such that Louis becomes more
of a character
of the character that things are happening to, as opposed to Louis talking to Marty so much. Because one thread you can follow through the whole thing is Marty's movement from being seen as a reliable narrator at the very beginning to much less reliable by the end.
Sure.
And I think they could have done, like, if you had had somebody. So I'll compare it to something like Margeau, which we've talked about. We should do that once at some point. Go watch Margeau, 1973. But in that, he's taking this documentary film crew behind his revivals he's doing, his Pentecostal revivals. But there are all of these scenes where he's being interviewed sort of by the director one-on-one, reflecting on like what's going on and reflecting on the process of doing the documentary. Like it opens with him kind of explaining to the documentary crew what's going to happen. And you don't have that here. Or even we've talked about Kumare. There are moments where you don't see anyone interviewing him, but you see these moments of Kumare, the guy playing, sort of struggling with his own
complicity
and dishonesty. Right. And so like what we don't get that. And so there's a moment, like there's a couple moments where like when they're doing all the drills at the end of that, there's all these actors sitting in these chairs this way doing these drills. At the end of that, he's like, so what would you do at the end? Louis says to Marty, and Marty's like, and then there would be a portrait of L. Ron Hubbard, and we'd all say, like, praise or thank you, or something like that, thing. And he's like, okay, well, let's do that. And he's like, I'm leaving. Like, Marty's like, I won't do that. And he says, like, oh, he's like, this is how it works. You've got them all doing what you want, and now it's just the cult of Louis Theroux. He says that when he walks off. They all have a new cult leader now. And what's interesting is it shows. My reading on that scene was like, that's actually interesting because it shows that in a certain way, Louis doesn't know what he's messing with in the way that Marty does. So you have like an expert.
They're paid actors. Right. Like, of course they're going to
No.
You know what I mean?
But of course they're going to do what he says. They're paid actors.
That did not land for me.
But aren't the people in Scientology also at a certain level paid actors? Like,
no. I mean, I'm not making a claim about like genuine or sincere belief or whatever. I think people always have their own motivations and rationale for whatever.
Right.
It just was so obvious. Like, this is not it's the critique that he was launching in that moment was something that seemed to take zero stock of the context that he was participating in the first place, that created a scenario wherein these people were doing, of course they're doing what he says. They have scripts. They're literally reading the words that you put on a page. And
But Marty thinks, but my point is like, yes, that's all true in that moment. But Marty saw it as messing around with powerful techniques that you shouldn't be messing with.
Okay, so I think it could have been very interesting, to your point, if Louis Theroux and Marty Rathburn had just like sat in two chairs and talked for an hour and a half. And it had been a conversation that pulled out some of these, like I would have listened to that interview,
right?
And the ways in which like Marty is like they are simpatico on this kind of equal playing field of being two people investigating this group. But then there are pieces of Marty's own complicity that come out and that he has to grapple with. In that moment, what registered for me was, that like, while this guy is literally standing there watching people reenact things that were very traumatic for him, he's also like, this is where you draw the line. it was interesting to me, like where and how and why he drew different boundaries around his own proximity to Scientology.
Yeah.
So, in that moment, it was, this is a hard boundary. I'm out. In other contexts, though, he was watching a Miscavige actor like scream at people's like inches from their faces, and I'm like, so how is that?
Well, I think because for Marty, all the drills and the big finish of thinking LRH is part of the tech, to use the language, right? That is effective.
Sure.
That does stuff to people. Miscavige yelling at people is actually does not fit within what is supposed to be effective in Scientology. Sure. And so like that moment, right, where he's like, I'm out, and he's all pissed about it, was intriguing because to me it was like, oh, like we have in Marty, and this is what I think is left unexplored, and I don't know how you do it in a way that, I don't know, it'd be hard to do, but like we have in Marty Rathburn someone who is an expert and has literally made a career out of manipulating people. And so he recognizes what's going on in that moment. And that, to me, that was the beginning of sort of changing what's going on, because, okay, if that's who he is, he's not an apostate from the church. He's not a victim of the church who's coming out and talking about these horrible abusive things that happened in the hole or whatever. He's someone who has sort of mastered these, I don't want to say dark arts, that sounds stupid, but has mastered a particular set of skills for controlling
social
people.
Manipulation, sure.
Yeah. And so like, well, now that's interesting for the rest of the film.
Be clear, I'm not actually interested in why something bothered him when something else didn't.
Yeah.
I'm being a little rhetorical. Like, I guess I'm not actually looking to square that circle so much as I am. I think that the disconnect provides its own narrative element of tension that could have been a place for some curiosity and examination that went unexplored.
Yeah.
So that, we just see him reacting.
Right.
And sometimes his reactions are good, and sometimes his reactions are positive and negative or whatever. But we don't have like a character analysis in that. There's no character study in the same way that there's no character study of Louis either, in the same way that there's no, like, so I would have been fine with just like them having a conversation for an hour and a half and kind of exploring these dynamics. I also would have been fine with the whole thing just being this reenactment for whatever way that staging is somehow revelatory of whatever broader theme. But that's not really there either. It felt like two dudes who were just messing around with some stuff. Even though Marty was not paid, it said at the end. Yeah. And I was also curious about that too, because, cool or whatever, but is that because... No, because this is hard-hitting journalism, and we're really like, no, that's not why.
That's not happening.
So,
no.
Like, it was just what I thought was the most revealing kind of moment that seemed to encapsulate the movie as a whole were the Scientology's cameraman and Louis' cameraman facing each other, and the Scientologist saying, tell your cameraman to turn off his camera, you tell yours to turn his camera off, no, tell yours to stop filming us, tell yours to stop filming us. That was the movie to me. and that could be interesting, because there are all of these layers of contact and obfuscation. There's clarity and obscurity. There's contact, but avoidance. Like there are really interesting things happening in that, but it just turned into a like, I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. He needed more of an explicit like gimmick. Like we're going to, like you're saying, like if the whole thing was the reenactment, or if the whole thing was like, we're going to, I'm here with Marty Rathbone. We're gonna do the reenactments and we're gonna lure them out. Like it didn't have. I mean, I keep going back to like Super Size Me, but like there had a gimmick to it. Like I'm gonna eat McDonald's every day for whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or like,
and a lot of times, though, those gimmicks very much are belonging to the ethos of the kinds of people who make those movies, namely. I'm going to point this magnifying glass at this anthill. Let's see what happens, you guys.
Yes.
And I'm just like, ugh, fine.
But
all right.
there wasn't enough of. But there almost wasn't enough.
Boys
of that.
Poking sticks at things.
Yes,
what.
Yes, but there almost wasn't.
Like
there almost wasn't enough of that though. Like there wasn't enough of. Here's the plan for the hijinks that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's part of what was missing. And so a lot of that, because there was another point, like, did you catch this? When they're talking about the Squirrel Patrol, and they say they've been harassing Marty since he left the church.
Sure.
Because he was trying to set up a rival church? There was like dropped in one sentence, and then it just like kept on going.
Oh, I think that was
because the religious tech... Right, is so important.
Yeah, I thought that was just one of the things, but I could have been misinterpreting. I thought that was like the Scientology's like lawyers just saying like this is
accusing him of doing
like of just kind of sour grapes. He wanted to do his own thing. That's why he left.
That changes my reading of the whole. I read it as. There's something missing
because there's no evidence that he actually tried to put together a group or
there
anything.
isn't. Okay,
I don't think that's. I mean, I don't know, but that's not. I took that in the same way that like all of the text that came, that rightly or wrongly, all of the text that showed up from the Church of Scientology was presented as very much the text of unreliable narrators. And it was just the kind of like propagandistic explanations that they're using for litigation purposes as a response to whoever's suing them at whatever time. Or asking them for a response or whatever is how I received that.
I took that along with the thing about how he won't do the last part of the drills as a sign that like he thinks that these methods, this religious
really
work. And
maybe.
So like that's part of what's going on.
Maybe. I thought that all of it, what all of these things do bring to the surface that I do not think Louis Theroux intended, but that I find very interesting. And maybe it's, I mean, I'm about to talk to my class about it tomorrow, but is what we call in the religious studies field the insider-outsider problem.
Yes.
This is something that like comes up with anthropological studies galore. It's something that sociologists talk about, but in the textbook that my intro students are reading, which is Russell McCutcheon's Studying Religion: An Introduction, he identifies the insider-outsider problem as the question of whether, and if so, then to what extent, non-participants can study others. And he talks about it as involving a complex continuum of positions and viewpoints. And I think that is really what this movie gives a very rich case study in that could give all sorts of like interesting things to talk about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Marty at one point calls Scientology at the end when he's getting really mad at him for kind of calling him out and asking about his incomplicity. He calls Scientology the most dangerous, pernicious cult that the Western world has known in the past 50 years. I mean, sure, but that's clearly a subjective insider take. Like that's, and there are just layers and layers and layers of those what we would talk about as insider discourses but Louis has his own he's participating in insider discourse in his own way, but he's also this outsider. And that kind of role of I'm an outsider who's coming in is his gimmick. It would seem to me.
Yeah.
In the kinds of things that he
But he can't
makes.
go in, right?
But he
That's
can't
the
go
whole
in.
thing.
And so he's going to create this proxy that he is simultaneously directing and also standing on the outside of, but also leading. Like there are these, again, just these kinds of, I think that that complex continuum, what McCutcheon calls this complex continuum of positions and viewpoints, I think is absolutely on display in this movie. And it gives a lot of, rich food in that.
And it's it's something that we see in a lot of these where there's the insiders and then there's the insiders of former insider, like right,
and so then who has the authority to talk about the thing?
Yeah.
Like there are all of these questions about power dynamics and authoritative experiential voice, because as we try to listen to the perspectives of the people who have been living through a thing, there is always, it would seem in a lot of these documentaries anyway, the tension between the insider perspectives of continuing participants, members of a group, and the insiders who are former members of the group. And there is always it would seem, again, I'm generalizing a little bit, but like there's a privileging of the former members experiential. It's because what is, again, kind of up and running on the table from jump is we're all going to agree to play the language game of this group being weird. And we're going to do that with this label cult.
Yeah.
And so then we don't really care about the insiders' perspectives.
Louis never says cult. Rathburn says cult. Tony, whatever his name, says cult.
But I think it's so in the background implicitly, because otherwise, why do we care about Scientology? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because
Tom Cruise is in it or whatever.
They're seen as being weird. Yeah. That's why. No,
and
you're
so
right.
it just, but we can imagine all sorts of examples in which it would be, people would find it horrific to not take seriously the voices of people who are in the group in real time giving their perspectives. And so
have you ever seen that show? It was on CNN for one season and it got canceled. Believer.
I did not watch it. No.
Okay. You can find it on YouTube. It's not
what's
good.
His name?
Reza Aslan
there it is.
was the host.
Reza Aslan.
There's a book,
kind of public intellectual about town, right? A religious studies scholar turned CNN correspondent kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't know what he's done since this.
No. But I mean, like that was his vibe on that show.
Yeah. So the vibe of the show kind of, I mean, there was this famous Fox News interview he did because he wrote a book about Jesus, and they were like, why would a Muslim write a book about Jesus? And he just kept saying he was a scholar of religions with all of these degrees in a way that was a little obnoxious. And
I feel like you're talking about you right now. Not describing you, but again, no, not at all. I take you and your work very seriously.
But it seems like
like you have feelings about this that are
no. There was at the AAR, for listeners who don't know what that is. It's just like the big annual convention,
the
for
American
Religious
Academy
Studies.
of Religion.
It's our big academic conference every year. 1 year around the time of that show, he was on a panel on like public discussions of religion or whatever.
Sure.
And it was like, these things happen in small little rooms where I give my papers at these conferences and then these big ballrooms.
Yeah.
And he was in the big ballroom,
Sure.
but he was so busy because he's got the show.
Sure.
They had to beam him in.
Okay.
And someone took a picture from the back of the ballroom, and there were 8 people in this giant ballroom in the picture, and his face on the screen because no one wanted to come.
This has gotten a little gossipy. I think
someone's going to forward this to him, and I'm going to get an angry email.
I think we've deviated from analysis here,
we
Mike.
have, but it's a good story. So that picture got posted on Twitter by someone we both know who I will leave unnamed.
Listeners are are eagerly Googling to go down the rabbit hole. What is Mike Altman's beef with Reza Aslan?
I have no. But this picture from the back of the room at AAR got put on Twitter at the time. And from somebody we both know who posted it, who's no longer in the academy, who's probably making more money. But, and that year I had a group of students who were working on like harvesting data off Twitter. And so we used the AAR hashtag. To like map out the tweets from that weekend's conference, like when I came back from the conference in that class. And it turns out that the most retweeted and circulated tweet from the conference was that tweet of the empty room with Reza Aslan in
it. This is...
Which was kind of
You're actually demonstrating... But your point was about insider-outsider dynamics and the ways that we stage them. And I think that your story actually creates its own fun other layer inside of the, like, just to add to the sediment of these kinds of intersubjective dynamics. So what was your point about the show, though?
My point about the show was that the show was similarly premised on, I'm going to go, like, every episode was another weird religion.
Got it.
Like, one was a particular form of Hinduism that's very ascetic, but it always had like this at the end. It always fell into that good bad thing. So like I used the one...
And to try to like explain why this...
So there's one episode on the Agori, which is a particular kind of ascetic tradition in India that sort of says like nothing can pollute you, therefore everything is permissible. And so a lot of dudes, like these ascetic dudes, hang out and, you know, like around skulls and charnel grounds and dead bodies and all this. And it's just got this long tradition. But then there's other more modern version who have like orphanages for outcasts and, you know, clinics for, you know, diseases that would be considered sort of unclean socially. And so the first half of the episode is about the scary sadhus with the skulls. And the second half of the episode is about the lovely guy in a polo t-shirt who runs a school for kids. Right. Sure. So it's the same thing, and then there's like, but every episode's like a doomsday cult. There's a voodoo episode.
Sure.
And there's no, you know, there's no episode on like a Wisconsin Lutheran church, right?
Yeah, of course, sure.
So I didn't know if you, So there's a great chapter in a book, Hijacked, the discourse on good and bad religion.
I've contributed to it.
Yeah, you're in there.
Yes, I'm in there.
Our friend Leslie Dura Smith has a chapter in there that's excellent.
She's one of the co-editors.
Yes. And who else?
Stefan Ferdig.
Yes. And then but somebody else has Marty Roberts has a really good chapter in there too. So anyways, I didn't know if you'd seen the show, but it's the same idea. But it's a bit more... It is at least more intriguing because it has a more black and white contrast to its take than what's happening here.
Well, and that's why that's part of my brain's tangle over like, does the lack of that sort of hackneyed descriptive work make me feel like I should give it more credit than I'm giving it? You know, like, is my problem with it really just an issue with confused narration? Is it really just an issue with storyline? I'm not sure, but I do think that the power dynamics embedded in this, in these insider outsider confrontations or stagings, it provides a lot of rabbit holes to chase.
It also makes it interesting to think about the character who very much becomes David Miscavige, the actor, who never gets named. He's just this guy wandering around with headphones.
This is the thing. It's nobody is actually given
the part where he goes, like the scene where they go back to the headquarters again with the David Miscavige actor dressed as David Miscavige, and then get chased away, and he's like, are we supposed to be here? Like, what's going
or the explanation that he gives for why we're going to cast Tom Cruise is just a lot of people associate Scientology with Tom Cruise, so we should cast him too. Like, what? I don't understand the point.
But I do think what I liked
Is it
about
because that he's more weird than John Travolta as a personality? Because Travolta's part of it too.
Well,
but we never worry about his participation.
Yeah.
Is
he's
it just
nowhere
because
on there.
that he's, you know what I mean?
He made Battlefield Earth. Like Tom Cruise didn't make Battlefield Earth.
I think that as a personality, Travolta doesn't strike us as wacky because he's not jumping on Oprah's couch or whatever.
In my class, right before we started recording this today, we were talking about Going Clear. They had to watch that for class today.
Okay.
And I think I also had this documentary in the back of my head as we were talking. I think one of the things the documentary did inadvertently and probably could have leaned in to make it better is the idea that this is a Hollywood church. Because long before, I don't know if you know what Church Home is. That's the church that Lana Del Rey and Justin Bieber go to now.
I don't know.
It's a California church.
Okay.
Long before you had Church Home or any of these other mega churches, you had Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard had Jimmy Stewart involved and all this stuff, right?
Wanted to have Jimmy Stewart involved. Yeah.
And I did say this morning. I said, it got me thinking about L. Ron Hubbard. One way to read L. Ron Hubbard is that he wanted to be George Lucas.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
But did not have a story like Star Wars, right?
Sure.
He had Battlefield Earth and all these other things. And thinking about how much of the just thinking about the Hollywood of it all, along with the performance element. It's it was really interesting because on one level you have it was such a California production. They had so many shots of palm trees. So they're driving around LA. It's very, it actually reminded me of The Big Lebowski in the same way that that movie tries to be we are in LA. Every shot is LA. And which,
I hate the fucking Eagles.
Yes.
Yes.
And so if we think about, I had not seen and if we think about Scientology as a Hollywood religion, I think that makes a lot of sense. It makes sense of all the celebrity stuff, but it also makes sense of why, in 2015, the main way Scientology has been opposed has been through documentaries and films and Leah Remini.
Listen.
And so everything about it right, is framed within a kind of Hollywood entertainment culture.
100%.
That I think and so when Rathburn says it's the most pernicious cult of whatever, I mean there's someone I'm how many you're talking granted, everyone who has suffered and harmed by anything that allegedly David Miscavige did,
sure.
I do not that sucks.
Yeah.
And it's terrible and it shouldn't have happened.
Allegedly covered up sexual abuse by several of its members, all sorts of things.
But it's kind of hard to feel not that these are a scale, but I think about Jonestown.
Sure.
Or I think about Waco.
Sure.
And even just those little case studies.
Sure.
I'm that's a whole lot of more death and a whole lot of more violent, and a whole, right? And so, but within the little world of Hollywood, it feels like a lot. I guess.
This is why I find it categorically not the point to identify the goods and bads and indifference, or to say this one is a cult, this one is a religion, this one is bad, this one is good, this is a blah. So much as I think you're right, there are all sorts of interesting things that you could do with just the the just hall of performance mirrors that get presented, and the kinds of images that come to light and get obscured or get warped or change dimension inside of that hall of mirrors. I think that's fascinating. It just didn't really ever become.
There's a project
they just
out
didn't
there.
know what the issue was. And I mean, I don't know if with the network of resources that surrounds Louis Theroux, he gets to make whatever he wants, and that's fine. But then I guess I just I just wish that I wish with all sorts of documentaries about groups of people, the like Toni Morrison says, the subject of the dreamer is, or the subject of the dream is the dreamer, you know? And this is Mary Douglas, the anthropologist that we use so often in our intro classes, like whether we call something soil or dirt tells you about the classification system of the person doing the classifying.
Yeah.
Like so Louis Theroux's story about Scientology is absolutely about Louis Theroux.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. And I think I think that there's a part of him at least that would admit as much by virtue of the title of the movie and the beginning, the very, like the first and last sentences that he says to open and close it are about himself.
Yeah.
And so, but then it just kind of loses it. I think that it would be really interesting for someone to make a movie about, like, this is like, what's that documentary, Sherman's March, that's really about, you know, the guy and his kind of lost love, and he's like reeling from a breakup or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't know this at all.
There are lots of documentary examples of people who are making a story about something, but it's really about themselves, their own journey, their own issues, their own, like, and I think that can be handled in really smart and interesting ways. I think this relied on our interest and investment in just stuff being weird and leaving it there. And then giving a disclaimer about, well, but maybe it's not weird. Maybe they just got hijacked. Like, okay.
Yeah. We need the Werner Herzog Scientology documentary. Like, I'm putting that out there into the world.
You know what, though?
He's on Instagram now, so someone can send him a DM him.
Oh my God, Werner Herzog. You know what we could do though is like, we talked about what to do next time. This is our own behind the scenes production notes that you can edit out later. But after we do
this is
we could
why
maybe
we come across as authentic.
We could maybe do Grizzly Man. I think that could be a good one. You've seen that, right? I
mean, the one we were talking about doing would be
sort of
an
like
interesting
that.
companion. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, interesting. I've not seen Grizzly Man. I know of it. I've not sat down and watched it.
Okay.
Have you seen Werner Herzog talk about chickens?
Yeah, man.
It's my favorite thing. I love it so much.
I think that
there's like one of those things I just go back to on the internet to make me feel happy.
Yeah,
on a sad day.
That the kind of cult of personality that has been created around Herzog is its own interesting thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, he just got on Instagram like a few months ago, and it's like it was a whole thing, and it's just him like chopping wood and shit.
Sure.
I will say what you just said though segues right into my takeaway.
Okay. Good.
Which is
because I don't really have one.
Yes, as I see in the notes. So as a cult documentary, as this invented genre that we've made up that doesn't actually exist on paper on any of these streaming services, this cannot succeed within that genre, this film.
Okay.
Because of its production choices, like we've been talking about, because one of the main goals of the cult documentary, if I'm going to like define the genre, is to have some message of this could happen to you, this could happen to your kid, this could happen to someone like you are not like you are, this thing out here is or was or could be a threat to you. So even if it's in the past,
implicitly trying to save the viewer from themselves.
Even if it's and part of the in the same way that a true crime story often makes it seem like anybody could be a victim of the crime in the story. There's a whole idea of like you could be next or you could be part of it. And that is not like, I never felt threatened watching this.
Do you really feel threatened in the other ones?
No, like I never felt like someone was threatening, like trying to threaten me. Like I never felt like that. No, like I can watch. And
there was not a like just say no kind of.
I don't. Every 2 weeks, I get the horrible anxiety about being.
Do you remember Do you remember that old commercial from the '80s of like, "This is your brain on drugs" with the like fried
MacGyver. Wasn't it MacGyver who did that? Who cracked the egg and fry it? I'm pretty sure it was MacGyver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The guy who played MacGyver did that.
Oh, interesting. I think that there is a kind of like this is your brain on cults, you know.
Yes.
Kind of, this is your soul on cults,
and
like with the fried egg.
Because
Fear Factor commercial in this.
I never felt like I was at risk of being sucked into Scientology because of this film. And in some ways, I think Gibney's production and when it was made.
Gibney's the one who made Going Clear.
Going Clear.
Yeah.
That Going Clear, because of the when it was made, is particularly worried about people being pulled into quote unquote prisons of belief, to use the subtitle of the documentary. So it's not about Scientology, but it's about larger claims that you might fall into. And so I think it's interesting to I think that there's a way that like this can't actually work as a cult doc, because it can't work as a cult doc because it's not threatening enough. It can't work as I don't know what we want to call that super size me kooky genre or whatever. It doesn't work there because there's just not enough meat on the bone at a certain level.
I call it a passion project.
I think it was a challenge. I think it was how do I do
to film festivals and whatever as a documentary?
Yeah.
But this is a movie that Louis wanted to make for Louis.
Yeah.
And it's his prerogative. He's got the money to do it, or his, team does, or whatever. So like, all right.
Imagine just
But I just
making a piece of media for your own purposes and hoping other people might like it.
There's some self-reflection for your whatever day, Monday.
What's your cult favorite?
Well, I referenced Russell McCutcheon's Studying Religion and Introduction that I use as a textbook for my intro classes. But he was also the editor. This is a little bit of a throwback, but in 1999, he edited a pretty big volume called The Insider-Outsider Problem in the Study of Religion. So I'm going to toss that out as just a little annotated bibliographic entry for our listeners who are, if you would like to explore these rabbit holes of inquiry,
super useful.
That is where you can go.
My cult favorite is something that I've just subscribed to. Have you heard of Dropout TV?
No.
It started out as College Humor years ago.
Like that was the name of it? Or
it was a website. Yeah.
Okay.
College Humor. They used to make bits and stuff.
I'm very out of the loop.
Yeah. But I never was engaged in that. I found it because of funny clips on TikTok, actually. But it is a comedy streaming service.
Okay.
No advertising.
Okay.
Independently owned. And they make their own improv content. And it's one of the funniest things. Some of the stuff on there is there's a series of different shows they make with a lot of the same comedians. They're also the guy who sort of, I don't know, the owner, the head, Sam Reich. He's got some really interesting takes. Like they pay all of their actors are employees. They're not just independent contractors. They pay them all very well. They have a whole profit sharing system. It's very sort of responsibly run company. But the shows are so good. There's one called Smarty Pants that has quickly become a favorite in my household, where comedians do 10-minute PowerPoint presentations. Such as the one that I watched last night that was incredibly close to my heart was how wrestling and religion and wrestling and drag are the same.
Oh, okay.
There's one on which cartoon characters are invited to the cookout by a black comedian. There was one on, what was the other one that was really good? Oh, why vegetables don't exist.
Okay.
Half of these could be REL 100 lessons in some ways.
Sure.
Like the vegetables don't exist. And it's $6 a month. And
okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of improv stuff they do. The most famous show and one of the most popular ones, I got it for the kids, is their show Dimension 20, which is a Dungeons and Dragons game that's ongoing with these comedians that they do episodes as they play through the game. But and there's actually one, because there's different seasons of it. There is one season that is what's it called? It was called Dungeons and Drag, and it's all drag queens like Monet Exchange and a bunch of other people on it. So, anyways,
well, we all need a good laugh right now.
It is such because I can't. Yes, what I like about it is it's funny, it's smart, it's generally
and it's all ad free. Sign up today.
And it's not about current events. Like I don't like right. It's it's very much kind of like
an escape,
but an escape that's still, I feel like, very responsible to where we are right
Enriching.
now in our moment.
Sure.
So, anyways,
Nice.
check it out.
Okay.
And if anyone hears this at Dropout and you want to like give me a free subscription,
See, we all have our own motivations for anything that we ever put into the light of day. And it's useful to be aware of these things.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Thanks for listening to Cult Favorite. Subscribe to the show on Spotify or Apple or YouTube or all three. You should just listen to every show 3 times. Listen to it on all 3 platforms.
Sure.
You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Cult Favorite. Special thanks to the REL Digital Lab and the Department of Religious Studies at the University of Alabama for production assistance. Once again, the views on this episode are ours as researchers and religious studies professors and don't represent our employer. And
we're aware of these insider-outsider dynamics.
Yeah.
Doggone
this
it.
is all research. That's what it is. And
See you next time.
see you in a couple weeks.